Fine.
Terrible. That's it. Okay, let's adjourn the meeting.
I'll keep trying, so it may
No,
pop up here.
it's-
in a
okay.
minute, but-
We're quite
We'll
all
go
right.
Old school. Okay. Renee?
Turn your thing on.
All right.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's meeting of the Architectural Review Board of Thursday, November the 21st. Renee, please, can you take a roll call?
Mr. Roach.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Lyons.
Here.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Here.
Chairman Murphy.
Here.
Also present and participating is Town Manager Dunham, Assistant Town Attorney Nazaro, and myself.
Thank you. I hope you've all had a chance to read the minutes of our last meeting on October the 17th. If there aren't any adjustments or amendments or comments, could I have a motion, please, to approve them?
I move they be approved as presented.
Second.
Mr. Roach.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Renee, any additions, withdrawals, deferrals, or change of order in the items?
I don't believe so.
Great. And as you can all see, our forthcoming meetings, our next meeting is on December the 19th. And then we go into 2025. And so with that, we go on to the public part of our meeting this morning. And has there been any ex parte communication with reference to the applications in front of us this morning?
No.
No. Neither have I. Thank you. Renee, please could you administer the oath to anybody who wishes to speak this morning?
Stand and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you. And so we move on to the first item on our agenda this morning, the application for development at Blue Water Cove Gulfstream.
Good morning, I'm Luis Rivera from Affinity Architects. And all right, the first home we're presenting today is Lot 5 on Blue Water Cove. It's a Georgian style home with a one-story elevation. If you go to the next slide, that's the location of the lot in reference to the rest of the lots that we've been working on. The next is a comparison of the houses that have been approved are now under construction. Ours obviously is Lot 5, which is right there on the right side. Next slide is our roof calculation, which shows our area of flat roofs. And it shows the calculations that we're below the allowable number that allow below the 10%.
Yeah, 8%.
8. Is it 8?
Yeah.
Next one is the floor plan. Is a 4-bedroom house, 1 story, as I said before. On our next slide is the next slide shows us the colors selection for the roof tile, shutters, and stucco. And the next slide is a view of the rear elevation, showing the pool, landscape, and covered porch. And next is a 2D representation of the front and rear elevation. This is where we show our rear window calculation, showing that we're below our allowable percentage. Next are the side elevations, showing all the locations of all the shutters are on the side views and allowable heights. And the next is the landscape. My colleague Louis is going to talk about that a little bit.
Good morning. My name is Louis Vlahos, Majestic Views Landscape Architect.
Good morning.
Just to go through the basics, we've got the clusia hedge on both sides of the house, as is common for this development. In the back, there's a combination of the fishtail palms, podocarpus hedge, and then the required 5 green buttonwoods. And on top of that, we have in the back palms, some flowering ixoras, muhly grass, and low ground covers and textural materials underneath the palms. In the front, we have the 3 16-foot oaks, which is the streetscape trees. Up against the building, flanking either side of the entry, we have 4 large foxtail palms, kind of formal and also accentuating the Georgian style architecture of the building. In addition, we have calophyllums and large ligustrum trees. Again, textural stuff. We have some portias, which is bromeliads, some walking blue iris, then again, Carissa, blue days as low ground covers, pulling everything together from the foundation plantings. In addition, on the side garage, we have some fishtail palms on top of the clusia hedge, which screens that whole garage door in that area. On the other side, for the private patio, it's only like a 4-foot high wall that we're permitted. In front of that, we have a 6 to 7 foot podocarpus hedge to provide additional screening. And then, of course, you know, the palms, lady palms, bromeliads, et cetera, within the private space that creates our own a private garden. That said, any questions?
I know we ask this question every time, but as depicted, these heights on the elevations, that's the height they're going in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. It's not as in we put them there.
No, no.
In the area called privacy adjacent to the master bath, are you going to put any kind of accessories in there?
In
Like
where?
so there's the privacy area adjacent to the master bath.
Yes.
Are you going to put in any hot tubs or anything?
No hot tubs,
No,
outdoor shower.
There is an outdoor shower or not?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that client.
Yes, thank you.
Just got one question.
You've had some practice at this.
There's a sense of deja vu.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is the third Georgian? Fourth?
It's the fourth.
Yes.
And we had the not representations, the elevations of the previous developments.
Again, even though it's like the third Georgian, the client selects changes and obviously the landscape changes accordingly. So, you know, we're not cookie cutters here.
No.
It's more like custom. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And can you
That's
go
why I
back
asked.
to the screen which shows the lots? I think it was the third or second. Yeah, that one. No, oh, that one, doesn't matter. So we've got a Georgian at lot 8. If you just point that out so the board can everyone see.
Lot 8 is Anglo-Caribbean. No, this is Georgian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lot 8 is Georgian.
And lot
3
13.
3 is Georgian. And lot 13.
13 and 5.
Yeah, it's just so we can see the juxtaposition. Yeah, we've got 8, 3, 13, and this, of course, is lot 5. Okay. So there is a good break between.
Are all the Georgians 1 story?
Yes.
All of them? Okay.
Are they all the same color?
No.
So how would you describe those colors? I can see, is it a blue? Is it a
Yeah, it's,
tan
there's
and
some
blue
samples here.
and roof?
We have some samples here.
Okay. Are the roofs all the same color on the 4 Georgians?
No,
Same tile?
no, this is the, concrete,
Okay.
color.
Pavers, okay.
Couple of pavers, yeah. Yeah, please. Oops. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Oh, it shows
true.
up much better here than
Yeah.
here. I got
So
you.
what color's the house again?
The
And in the shutters?
Sand.
That looks actually,
Oh, okay.
that's better than, no, this time. It's better than this.
Mr. Smith, I think we tried to put
You
the
do not.
big blow ups of each Georgian so y'all could see them.
And the lot 8 Georgian has a white roof. It's completely different from.
Is it? That's a white roof.
On lot 8.
It's the first one in your.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't.
Okay.
This
I just-
other
I just-
rendering,
Yeah, it's the other white.
yeah, it doesn't, because it talks about an east
Printers
elevation.
don't do good with roof tiles.
That's fair enough. Okay.
This
Are there any?
That is lot 8.
Yeah, this is eight.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it goes 8, 3, and then 13.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What we've got, which is what we saw. I wanted to see, just so you can see the position of it. Are there any more questions? I know this is a level 3 and it's a big development, but you guys have got used to what we look for. This has obviously been through the whole process. I would say any comments from neighbours, Renee, but
There were not.
I thought that was the answer.
Lizards.
So,
This is a spec home.
No, this is.
No.
This is an owner build, okay.
okay.
Okay, has that been happening? Are we allowed to, is that, you get some customs and some specs in there?
We have done some specs. Like the first 3 that we did were all specs.
Okay.
And then lot 5, lot 8 are.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
good morning.
I've been away for
Good
a while.
morning, everyone. Paul Crashane.
Yeah, Paul.
Good
Shane.
morning.
Hey,
How are
Good
you?
morning. Fine, thank you.
Yes, so this is a homeowner on lot 5. So we have a homeowner on lot 1 as well, which was one of our models that we did originally.
And they're in probably, right?
They're in, yes.
Yeah, good.
They
Looks
are in,
beautiful.
Yes. And then lot 8 is a custom home as well on the intercoastal for a client.
Okay.
And lot 7 is for a client as well.
Okay, great.
So we'll be, we've already gotten approval on our house, so.
Yeah.
Um,
And did you do a 1-story? Did I?
we have a
Yeah.
2-story.
You have a 2-story.
Yeah,
The other
2-story,
one's a
yes.
1-story? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I read about that. All right.
So, right, so lot 8, Peterson is really a very classic design Georgian house, with the pediment in the front. And just as an FYI, we have a deposit on lot 6, so we're working with them hopefully to go to a contract. So, yeah, so we're seeing movement.
Good.
So we're excited about that.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
With that, if there are no other questions or points to discuss, could I ask for a motion, please?
Okay, I will make a motion for approval of a level 3 architectural site plan based on the finding that the construction of a 5,419 square foot Georgian style 1-story single-family dwelling with a 2-car garage and swimming pool, including new landscape and hardscape, meets the minimum intent of the design manual and applicable review standards with the following condition. That any minor modification to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modification shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to the commencement of the landscaping.
I'll second that.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And ladies.
Have a good day.
Sorry. Thank you. And with that, we move on to the second proposal in front of us this morning. Jess, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jess Sowards, architect with Curry Sowards Igo Architects. This project is, if you just look to your right, it's right over here. This is for the Little Club. And about a year or two ago, we were here with the amenity building, which is now complete. So what we're proposing now is over at the Croquet Center. Right now, there's a green canvas awning adjacent to the croquet courts and just to the side of the pickleball courts. So what we're doing is amenity building for the croquet courts and enhancing that. And you can see from actually it's just south of the existing clubhouse by the golf course management facility. Okay, and so the two buildings, if I may, these are two existing buildings. So that's for the golf course maintenance, so it houses some of the equipment. So this is the amenity building, and this is a break room offices for the golf course management personnel and employees. So that's fitting actually right in between the two maintenance facilities, so it really won't be seen. Next. The other thing we're doing is we're adding additional parking. So right now the employees really are parking all over the place. So this gives them a place that we can give them a place to park. It's also hidden from the golf course and hidden from every place else. I have Carol Perez here to talk about the landscaping. Next. This is the floor plan for the maintenance facility. So you see we got a break room for the employees. We got offices for the superintendent, storage, and a couple of bathrooms. Something they really don't have now. They got inadequate facilities that they're using. Next. This is the elevations of the maintenance facility. So it's pretty basic. It's compatible with the two adjacent maintenance buildings and it's fitting in between, which is the same colors. We're doing the same concrete roof tiles. It's going to be white body all through concrete roof tiles, just like what we did at the main clubhouse. This is the amenity building. So inside we got a break room. So it's well, not a break room, it's a beverage station. So we got the pickleball courts. We've got, right now that beverage station is sitting outside. So this way we're going to enclose it, protect it from, the various activities and also from the weather. Also, as a golf simulator we're putting in there and bathrooms. So it's something they really don't have over on this end without having to go to the main clubhouse. And it's got a front porch. So that's part of the exercise was that because we're in the floodplain and the finished elevations like at 4. So we had to be up at 7. The benefit that we got out of that, we got a beautiful porch that they can sit on this porch and they can look out on and watch the croquet players play, et cetera. So that ended up being a good benefit. All the colors, the windows, the shutters, the roof, all of that matches exactly the same colors, same materials, same gutters, same everything that we did the amenity building as well as the main clubhouse. Same details. We got the cross landscaping, on the sides to kind of dress up the non-window sides for the bathrooms, et cetera. And here's just another dimension of the floor plan, the tree removal plan. Here's Carol is here. You want to talk about the landscaping now, Carol?
Good morning. I'm Carol Perez with AGT Land. So the parking lot will be screened with a clusia hedge. It is existing already and it's very tall. It's probably 8 to 10 foot tall. Sure. So we're screening the parking lot with a clusia hedge. It's 8 to 10 feet tall. It's existing. And then throughout the parking lot, we've added green buttonwood trees and silver buttonwood trees, which also is compatible with the landscape that exists at the little club already. We have foundation planting around the buildings with actually we're using podocarpus hedges. And that again is very consistent with what is at the little club already, at the clubhouse and the wellness building. And that's about it. If you have any questions,
Yeah,
I'm available.
You mentioned in the proposal, it says you're taking down 6 Australian pines.
We're taking down 6 Australian pines and we're also adding 14 new trees.
What kind of trees are you adding?
We're adding green buttonwoods, silver buttonwoods, and a tababuya. And the trees that we're removing are in the middle of the parking lot that is proposed. So that is why they're really in the middle of the construction.
Tababuya, the yellow?
Yes.
The golf course maintenance building, or office building, has one straight wall of nothing but concrete or whatever. Is that going to be masked well?
If you can, okay, that is adjacent to the existing maintenance building. So I've only got like 6 feet between the existing building. So that's what faces
Okay,
that
so
building.
one side is going to
Actually,
mask
2
the other
sides.
side.
Yeah. So you won't be able to see that. It's like
Yeah.
it's like an alley,
It's
if
like
you
a
will.
corridor.
Yeah. So that's fitting on the existing septic tank, and we're getting rid of the septic tank, put a lift station in, and so we're getting rid of all that. So it fits right in between 2 existing maintenance buildings. But the 2 sides, we have windows that are open to the public. So building code wise, I've got to have a fire rating, so I can't have windows in that hallway anyway because the buildings are too close to get together. So the fire doesn't hop.
I'm curious about the rationale of, it's an architectural feature on the roof. Are you trying to make it look like a barn or a shed? I mean, I'm not sure why you're adding that because it's not a functional, right?
It is not functional. It is something that we did at the amenity building. So I don't know if you've seen that, or it's the same detail that we're doing there. So we're just trying to make everything cohesive.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, where did you do it before?
At the amenity building. So that was about 2 years ago.
Workout, yeah.
The fitness facility. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure what you were
Yeah.
saying. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And does this fall 500 feet from here? Have we got any residents of this building?
There's some residents here, but other than that, no, I have not heard anything from any resident. We had one come in. He wanted to know if the current maintenance building was being torn down, and I told him no.
Okay.
Could you? I need you to go to the microphone, please.
Good morning, I'm Cuppy Craft. I wanted to ask, in the existing maintenance building, there's cooking facilities, there's tables, there's a rest area for the workers. Is that not sufficient, or is this just nicer, or what's the purpose of adding another building for that?
Ross Curtis for the Little Club. The facility where the office, the break room, and a single bathroom is for our staff is a garage. It's substandard. It's not where by choice you would want to have valued employees work. So the goal in the new building is to provide 2 bathrooms, a proper break room, and a decent office for our employees.
Can I just ask on that, where does the wait staff, where is their break room? Would they be taking carts out to this break room? Where does the wait staff and the cooks and where's their break room?
Better if you stay up here at the moment so we can have this discussion. It's just so we got it on record. Okay.
The wait and kitchen staff use facilities within the main clubhouse. They will not be going out to where the golf staff works.
Where is that in the main is their break room in the main clubhouse?
Well, we have a small one in the kitchen, and typically they eat their meals in one of our other rooms. Uh, Usually, and our general manager is here and he'll correct me if I go off, but typically nobody is in, no members are in a particular room like the garden room or the card room or whatever, and whatever's available. So they have a nice place to have their pre-meal meal, if you will.
So it's basically it's for improving your management operations and hopefully the service to everybody and your employees.
Yeah, and that, really the quality of life for our green staff. These are people that are on site 7 days a week. There's a fair number of them. One bathroom's clearly, not adequate, and anybody who's ever walked into that garage where they sit among equipment to have their lunch would understand it's not the way that you would want to treat a valued employee.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, maybe for Roz again.
Sure.
Well, there's a little sketch in the front of the croquet amenity called, hard to read, areas for swing machine and jump hoop practice. What's that?
Yes, you'll see, there's actually a picture of it in the rendering that James and Jess have included. It's just a trainer where someone who plays croquet, you can see a picture of it. They're able to swing the club and get the proper arc. So it's there. We have it today. It's not a new feature. It's out on the lawn today.
Oh, I see. The curve.
Yes, exactly.
That's a golf swing you just did.
Yeah, I'm not a croquet player, obviously.
Yeah, that's not a croquet swing. Yeah, it goes that way.
Okay. So swings aside, are there any other points that people wish to raise before we go to a motion? Yes, sorry, Cuppy.
Is the new parking lot paved out there? Is it going to be concrete or asphalt?
Jess,
Yes.
which one?
Yeah.
Asphalt.
Darn, caught me.
It's
No, it will be
Asphalt.
paved. Yeah.
Paved or asphalt?
Paved.
Paved
Asphalt.
asphalt.
Paved asphalt.
Everything
Yes.
in the maintenance area is going to be paved.
Paved asphalt. It'll keep things cleaner. Yeah.
Stop the dust.
Could I ask you a question?
Can I just ask
say.
one
Oh, I'm
last
sorry.
question about,
Yeah,
I'm just curious about the amenity building. Will the liquor and glasses and bar things, will those be taken out from the main clubhouse in a golf cart? Or how are you going to, I guess I'm saying, are we going to get more trucks and traffic down Little Club Road delivering supplies so you can check them in and then they would go out to the amenity? Or will the amenity suppliers, the liquor, the whatever you're going to have in the ice boxes,
Yeah,
go there?
we'll go down the general manager route.
Good morning, Rob Leonard, General Manager.
Good morning.
This facility acts as a separate facility as it does today. It really doesn't work with the clubhouse. It works out on its own. So every delivery that they currently get comes through C Road right here, and it'll continue to.
Okay, thank you.
So my question also is that over the last, 7 to 8 years, you've added amenities to the club, and they've all been positive enhancements. Are there any, in terms of the grand plan, are there other things you're planning to do? And one subset of that question is that building that's on the east side that was, I think, where you kept the golf carts. You fixed up everything, and that one structure is kind of older, I think. Is there a plan to do something with that? And more specifically, what about the golf carts? Because when we approved the approval of the fitness center, the idea was that the golf carts would be stored someplace. I don't know where they get stored. I'm not there, but I'm curious how that's worked out.
Yeah, it's worked out actually really well. The golf carts are stored in what we refer to the Green Barn, which is the closest building that the Little Club owns to where we're standing. And so they're moved out there back and forth on a daily basis. And it's strictly a golf cart garage, basically.
Are you going to eventually fix that building up? It's one of the oldest structures.
I think that like the garages that we have in maintenance is as needed, we would certainly obviously have to maintain them and keep them up. Yeah, certainly.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any more questions from the board?
I just have one last
Yes.
question. There's quite a bit of space in the existing golf barn that has the tables and the couches and the cooking facilities for the staff. Are you going to move the golf carts out there, or what's going to happen with that space? I'm sure they'll be glad to have more of it.
One of the objectives that we wanted to achieve is our golf superintendent feels we needed about 1,500 more square feet of storage space for equipment. So the two existing buildings that are there, as we get rid of the office, bathroom, and the break area, that will be used for equipment storage.
Thank you. With that, if there are no more questions, please could I ask for a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan to permit the construction of 2 new single-story structures, an 1,185 square foot croquet amenity building and an 1,120 square foot golf course maintenance office.
Could I have a second, please?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we move on to the third item on our agenda this morning. At this point, I hand over to Paul, who was the ad hoc chairman of the group that came up with the proposal that we're reviewing this morning.
Okay, we're going to wait for Trey.
Oh.
He returns.
Where did he go?
I don't know, he just disappeared.
I'm
That's
gonna
not true.
get a coffee refill, so just please continue.
Good morning,
Sorry,
gentlemen.
Paul, your thunder's been stolen.
There was never any thunder.
He was here till 7 o'clock last night.
Yes.
All the lightness.
Town manager was here till 7 last night, carting people back and forth.
Renee, you did reach out to the other members of the
He did not.
We send them this. Did they get the memo?
They did.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Glennon is at a school function and he will try to be here as soon as that is over. Your daughter is only in kindergarten 1, so I certainly am sympathetic to that.
Definitely.
Mr. Koch said he would not be here,
So that leaves Gary.
Gary. And I don't even know if they're in town or not.
We've got 3 of them.
Yes,
Great.
3 of you are on the,
I know. Let's officially just take a hiatus because people are moving around. Okay. So I'm calling the meeting. Yeah. Okay. So I'm
good.
recommencing our meeting this morning of the Architectural Review and Planning and Review Board. Renee, please can you officially make a note that Greg isn't here? And with that, I'd like to hand over to Paul, who ran our meetings, was the chair of this ad hoc group. And Paul, can you talk to the recommendation that's in front of us this morning, please?
I will. Thank you, Malcolm. A few words of introduction. At the ARPB meeting in March of this year, it was recommended that the ad hoc committee be formed to address massing in the core district of the town of Gulfstream. Again, it's addressing massing in the core district. I was appointed chairman of this committee to ensure a broad perspective the town pull from cross-section of our residents to form this committee. young married with a family to older retired. I'm the older retired. Former commissioners or ARPB members to no formal involvement in the town, and relatively new residents to a member who has lived in the town for over 60 years. So we really did have a very excellent cross-section that led to really a broad discussion of all issues. And the members of the committee, as you can see, are, and see if I can see this.
Is there any way you can just open the PDF and have that full screen?
It won't do it on this.
Okay.
Unless I can figure it out. It's not going to happen.
So Chairman, myself, Gary Cantor, thank
There you
you. Michael Glen Allen, Bill Koch, Malcolm Murphy, and Tom Smith. Okay, if you go to the next slide, please. I'm going to speak briefly about the process in studying how to best protect the neighborhood character of the core district by limiting massing. The committee discussed this issue with experts who had core competency in this general area in the fields of planning and architecture. And you might just add some comments about we had how many architects, city planners.
Sure. So we had, I want to say at least 3 architects. There was some knowledge of the zoning code of the town of Palm Beach that was brought in, and some potential code changes that could benefit us. In the end, we did not move forward with that, but there was a lot of information that was available that was discussed. And we also had someone from the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council who does a lot of planning related items, and I believe had a background as, I think he might have had a degree in architecture, and has seen throughout South Florida the changes that, this is not unique to Gulfstream, whereby you have an older home that is demolished to make way for a much larger home. And he said that that is not a unique issue to Gulfstream, and proposed a number of solutions that we could take, and also noted that the town code as it currently exists does a good job in addressing a lot of those issues already.
I decided to move forward here because I can't read the slides. And I was going to use that as my talking points. Okay, so we talked about the process. Let's go to the next slide, please. So after really a very thorough and deliberate, very open discussions, we did approach it in a very broad way, from was reducing the FAR in the town to really we considered everything. So the first recommendation that we're starting, the basis for our recommendation surrounds this concept of a overlay district. And we received this concept from the city planner, and I think it's an excellent idea. And I'm going to hand it over to Trey in terms of how we put that together.
So we currently have an overlay district that exists in town, the North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District, which is an overlay on the first 50 feet of the property along A1A. So that protects the desirable vistas and views within town as you're driving through. So that's a unique situation where you want some sort of protection, some additional regulations regarding just that portion of those lots. So that is an existing overlay district in the town. Overlay districts are created to provide different things and different purposes, but for our purpose, looking at protecting or addressing massing in the core, the thought was we have certain code provisions. Where would we apply them to be most effective? So we identified the purpose of the district, obviously to address massing. The area that makes up the district, we keyed in on through analysis, talks about the lot sizes, commonality, how best to modify some code provisions. And then once we had an idea of what that area would be, we then looked at the code provisions relative to 1-story and 2-story homes and how we could sort of shift incentivize some single stories, and then not disincentive or penalize, because there's no real penalties that the committee came up with. It was more of a limitation on the characteristics in our code that
Hey, Trey,
relate to increased massing.
Let's bring up the overlay district, because I want to be sure that people conceptually understand.
So yeah, Renee, if you want to move to the next slide. So and this will show the overlay district itself that is proposed within the core. So we do have, it is the entirety of the core in between Gulfstream Road and Polo from Old School to Gulfview. So it is those two main north-south arteries, and you're really doing a lot to protect that tunneling and that the issue of massing on those streets, specifically Polo and Gulfstream Road. Now, obviously, Gulfstream Road's the homes on the east side. They do, most of them do front A1A, and they are larger, so there is less of a towering effect. So, and they're in a different zoning district. So you're not going to have that sort of canyon effect on that side. So we are addressing that on the west side of Gulfstream Road. And then with Polo, you have some of your cove lots that are a little bit different in shape and size and orientation, different setbacks that apply because they are that some of those lots are water facing. So the idea was to incentivize those main lots on the east side of Polo to maintain that single story, or to limit massing, because that does impact not only just the street view, but of course all your neighbors. The lots are all fairly similar in shape and size. They are all mostly squares with similar dimensions, in the 100 to 120 feet width and depth. So because of those commonalities, there was the thought that this would be the perfect overlay district to address massing.
Thank you, Trey. So to summarize, the characteristics of each of these lots in that overlay district are very similar. The concept of having a district is consistent with the way that the town was planned originally. The homes currently in that overlay district, the majority of them, I'm going to say 80% anyway, are currently 1-story. In terms of building or recommending changes to our code, I want to emphasize the notion of incentivize. That was a dominant theme. What can we do to encourage people to build a 1-story home versus a 2-story home? And to the extent that somebody wanted to build a 2-story home, we felt that we would want to discourage it, but not certainly prohibit it. So let's go into the specifics of our recommendation. Did I forget anything?
No, that's great. So this is just a sort of repeat of what we talked about. This is the third part of creation of an overlay district. So we've identified the purpose to address massing. We've identified the geographic area within an existing zoning district that we're going to apply this criteria to. So the question is, what are the criteria that we're going to develop? So again, it was really to encourage single-story homes. So shifting through incentives and not penalizing 2-story homes, but adjusting some of the criteria in the code to limit the impact of massing when you do decide that you would rather have a 2-story house. So again, there's no penalty. It's really just you have a certain ball of clay within your FAR, and one of the options is, well, let's put less clay on the second story, more on the first story. But with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lyons in the next slide, Renee.
Okay, so the first thing that we're proposing is to currently the floor area ratio is 0.33 times the lot size. We're going to increase it to, or recommending we increase it to 0.36. So it's about a 10% increase in the floor area percentage. Bottom line is you get more square footage if you build a one-story house. But we're going to give you some statistics momentarily.
Are all the lots under 20,000 square feet in this district?
Yes.
Okay.
There
So
is
we don't need to specify.
there is maybe one lot that is, there may be two, that is like a double lot. I'm thinking across from 201 Lakeview. It's the very
Right down on Golf View, right?
correct. Yes,
Which one is?
corner of Lakeview and Gulfview. That with these provisions, if you go over 20,000 square feet, the difference between 0.33 and 0.36 before you get to that sliding scale FAR is 600. So if you do have a full 20,000 square foot lot at 0.33, you get 6,600. At 0.36, you get 7,200, which is a 600 square foot difference. So
they may be over it drops to our second cutback. We're not going to.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
So if you have a very large lot, we're not suggesting that the sliding scale FAR, the 20% over 20,000 is adjusted. So it will correct. And again, the impact. Those are the outliers. Most of the lots are in the range of 15 to 16,000 square feet. So this, I don't want to jump ahead, but the proposal will increase about 450 square feet for each one of these homes,
Yeah,
which
we'll get.
but
By the way, thank you for correcting me. I didn't realize. So I guess Mrs. Mayer's would be a double lot.
She may be a little big enough.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it is probably
It's not a double lot. It's
less
a
than
single lot.
5% would be.
there. I mean, it would be, I would say 3 or less of
Yeah.
the lots.
Okay. So any questions on the area that we're covering in terms of the overlay? Again, it's from Golf View up to Old School. If you look to the, I just want to make an observation. If you look to the west from Polo, some of these are often larger lots, and they frankly merit 2 stories. So I think we have some symmetry and we're keeping some balance. So that's just a personal observation. Something that comes up all the time is the square footage that's counted for covered but unenclosed. And we had a lot of discussion about that, and to incent a one-story home, rather than counting 100% of all covered unenclosed area, we're proposing 70%. And again, we're going to give you some illustrations of the actual impact on a house. Any thoughts on that? I see the town manager thinking. Okay.
So you're giving people a break on the covered unenclosed.
Well, yes.
Because
yeah,
people
sure.
like covered unenclosed spaces.
So now it's 100%. So if you had 500
Yep.
feet, now we would only take
350.
350 versus.
I like it.
We felt also because the profile of the house would be lower, that we would allow the resident to move the house closer to the street. So we reduce the front setback from 30 feet to 25.
So it's less.
So that way, if you're going to push all of your square footage to the first floor, you're taking up your backyard. So we give some benefit towards the street. Okay, if we go to the next recommended slide.
So these are all delving into the specific provisions of the code, all relating to the one story that we just talked about. So here is just by way of example, you see what Mr. Smith was talking about, the 0.20 for anything over 2,000. You're right, Miss Mayor will take the full benefit of that extra 600. She is at a half acre, so just over 20,000 square feet. So everywhere in the town, it is currently 0.33 with 0.20 over. So it'd just be for this overlay district that you'd be able to take advantage. For example, we have 3133 Polo Drive is a 16,000 square foot lot. Currently, they can build a 5,384 square foot home. Under the new provisions, they would be able to build a 5,874 square foot house, which is 490 square feet. So the thinking from the committee was that that is enough of an incentive to maybe push someone from building a two-story to building a one-story.
So that's just under 10%, right? Do I got my math right? What percentage?
Correct. It is. It's in between 8 and 10% because it's an additional 0.03 over the current 0.33. Maybe Mr. Glennon is here. I'll tap him for any math questions.
Yeah, considering what Michael did on the spreadsheet.
You lost me a little on Marilyn's house. It's a big lot. You're saying what are you telling me?
Right.
That's
So
going to come up in the next.
No, sure. So any lot so if you see here under your FAR, the first 20,000 square feet, you get 0.33. Anything over that, you get 0.20. So if you have a lot that is over 20,000 square feet, you will not benefit from a portion over 20,000. It will still be the 0.20. So my statement is that if you have a lot that is over 20,000 square feet, the maximum increase in your FAR will always be limited to 600 because that is 0.03 of 20,000 square feet. So the maximum benefit anyone will ever receive under this adjustment would be an additional 600 square feet. And that is based on you having one of the largest lots in the area. Typically, the medium-sized lots, again, are 14, 15, 16,000 square feet, which is in between 450 and 500 square feet additional. So again, enough of an incentive. And then, but it would cap at 600 square feet because we're not giving anything over for that 20,000. We're only adjusting that initial 20,000 square foot number.
Okay. So the key there is that 98% of her lot size has the 0.36.
Yeah.
Right. So that
right.
anything above it's immaterial. If you could continue. So that was a good example. I think that to summarize, we wanted to incent. We wanted to make it material, meaningful. If it wasn't, then you're not incenting. And we felt that those were the triggers. And we went through, by the way, every section of the code to see what we would do to change. And we focus on those two particular points. Is that a fair summary?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to that 70% discussion.
Excuse me. So regarding the adjustments to 70/70 and the covered unenclosed, got my cheat sheet here. This is a reference to section 70-70, which shows that there are other situations in the code that contemplate either penalizing you by counting it double. For example, floor area under ceilings, which are higher than 15 feet, you have to count that as double, right? So that's an existing provision of the code. Areas in basements are only included as 75% when it's located completely under the first floor footprint and you can't actually get outside. Any exterior door, we had an application recently that was looking at that, and I said, yep, if you have to go through another door to get to somewhere else, yes, that counts as 100%. It has to be fully enclosed. So that's something that exists that if you were to construct a basement, I think we may have one on North County that may technically count as a basement because of the floor, the elevations. And then we have, areas under awnings with leg support. So that's just one half. So there's something in the code that says we understand that there's coverage and there's maybe some massing criteria here, but we're not going to count like an awning as double. Or if it's a basement and it's really underneath and there's no way out, we're not going to penalize you with the full FAR. We're going to give you a little bit of leeway. So this was an incentive to um, continue to encourage incorporating outdoor spaces that are open but covered, but not with the full impact. So just by way of an example, our special exception allows additional 300 square feet, but you have to do some adjustments there within your FAR. So we would regularly see applications that had 900 square feet of covered area. So if you had 900 square feet of covered area, this would only count as 630 feet, which would allow you to have an additional 270 square feet under air. So there's, if you had a very large area that was open, a loggia, outdoor, it doesn't have to be in one space, anywhere, it would only be counted as 0.70. So again, could add an additional air-conditioned space by not sort of penalizing you, but encourage some differentiation in architecture, which is consistent with what our code under that special exception encourages. We want you to have outdoor spaces. Obviously, there is massing is a lot different when you're looking at an open area under a roof than a flat wall. So that was what the committee sought with sort of that flexibility with the covered unenclosed floor area, which currently counts on all houses as 100%.
While you're on that subject, why don't you address that 300 square feet that we're going to?
So I think I took Mr. Glennon by surprise when I just sort of off the cuff mentioned at our last meeting that maybe we eliminate that special exception for covered unenclosed area just for all homes, knowing that the single story homes here are going to already take advantage of the reduced impact of 0.7 and the fact that with the vast majority of our two-story homes and really in general on new builds, the commission has really frowned upon allowing that special exception.
So as a matter of practice, we're not approving it, so just eliminate.
So we could either eliminate it or we could continue to, allow the discretion of the board, but there was a proposal to perhaps eliminate that special exception altogether within the overlay district.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've accommodated that in our recommendation,
right?
It's a null point. So I feel.
So it's your memo at the bottom here, correct?
Yeah, correct. The last point.
Yeah, I apologize for skipping, but
no,
we're talking that subject.
That makes sense. Oh, sorry, to me it makes sense.
So is this part of the plan? Like if we were, or this is still just for conversation? Because it says also.
That was the recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what we're.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
So I think that sums up the incentives.
And then there's
What about the setback, Paul?
and then right, and
Well,
then
that's two
Renee,
stories.
if you want to go to there is a reduced setback for proposed for single story. When we were talking to Greg and I spoke with someone in the town of Palm Beach, and one of the architects mentioned some provisions within the town of Palm Beach code, which essentially related to adjusting the height of your building the closer it got to the front setback. So with adjusting to this only applying to single story homes, if you're 5 feet closer, I think the feeling of the committee was there's not going to be as much of an impact. We're going to give you a little bit extra area, and you're still not going to be towering over us on the road because your roof height is going to be a lot lower as a single story. So I just pulled.
What was the technical term for that again?
It was I think it was building height plane.
No.
So it's building. So it's sort of like if you can imagine a diagonal line as you're sort of looking at a structure, and it would be, I want to say, for every foot you get to the into the property, it would be 2 feet of height. So if you're 20 feet in, the limit would be 40 feet of the building height or something like that. So it's just this sort of, if you're kind of looking up, limiting that by pushing it back, and the higher that it gets, the further back it would have to be.
So visually, I mean, clearly, a one-story house, as you bring it closer to the street, it's going to be less impactful than a two-story house.
So
And,
the house that was built next to you, is it at 30 feet? Do we know what that?
It would have had to have been.
Yeah, I know, I think it.
Right.
Just trying to visualize.
Oh, the setback, yeah, I believe they
But we
did
couldn't.
take
That's the code.
the minimum setback.
Yeah,
It may be,
But they brought it all to the 30. It was
Yeah,
like
yes.
35 or
Yeah,
something.
they
it-
maximize the
Probably.
if
Get
it's
the
if it's
FAR.
not 30, it's maybe 32. It's
But
pretty
maybe we
close
should
to the
find
front
out,
setback.
'cause it's an interesting question you're asking. Did they use all of it? Yeah.
Yeah, they maxed
Okay.
on every
So-
feature of that
So a
house.
new one would be 5 feet closer to the road than that house. That's a good way to think about it, right, Tom? Yeah. 5 feet.
Yeah.
I'd like to go drive by that again, take a look.
They have enough room in front. They got a circular drive.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of a, yeah.
I would say that what could be a challenge a little bit is that they have a large ficus that's kind of inside the center of their property in the front. So the driveway is probably a little further to the east
Close to the
because of
front
the
door.
tree. So, and maybe, that there might be some circumstances we have to figure that out. But generally, I mean, that could happen really in any house. You can have a tree that would interfere with the setback.
Well, and I noticed you went from 30 to 25. I mean, we all think in terms of chunks of space, but that was 5 feet. Did you think of 3 feet or 2 feet or 4 feet, or did you just?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking because when you go look at that house, 5 is.
Yeah, I think what we tried to do was maximize the incentives we could give to people. So no brainer is a terrible term, but it's a no brainer to say, what I want to stay low.
Yep.
What was the minimum that would be impactful?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So good answer.
And we
Fair
thought
enough.
we'd just give enough to make the architects have enough creativity to really for them to say, yeah, it's great. I can do stuff on the ground floor. It's one story as opposed to the challenges of going to that second.
Was there any discussion of doing 3 feet out front and 2 feet out back? Or I'm just curious in your discussions.
I think that there have been discussions on that subject.
Rear setback and front setback.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I think the notion was that if you're building a one-story home and you're taking more of your lot size, meaning less green space, you're going to probably want the enjoyment of your green space in the back, and so move the house forward. Versus, so we didn't.
My only point is people, neighbors. We get all catch. Oh my God, they're building the houses closer to the street. What's going on? Once we see this, because 5 feet is a incremental, distance. I love this plan. I'm just saying, I wasn't in the meeting, so I'm more just asking, was there any discussion like, maybe we do 3 up front and put 2 in the back because nobody sees the back. Your neighbors don't see you. But again, I just
in terms of streetscape, we thought that 5 was acceptable.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yep. 10-4.
So
Okay.
I just have a question for Mr. Smith. You're familiar with the house that's next to him, and so you can just imagine that one being 5 feet.
Well, that's what
closer to
I'm
the-
concerned about.
Because
It's tall because it had to meet the new elevations.
yeah,
So
and the front entry feature was raised. I think that was one of the first houses that we approved
Under the new
with,
code,
with a higher front entry feature.
Well, everything is relative. So if you built a 2-story home, at the current setback, which is worth, which is better, a 1-story 5 feet closer, and I would argue 5 feet closer is a better alternative. So, I mean, these are all relative decisions.
Oh, yes.
And none of them are absolute. There are advantages and disadvantages for each. Okay, let's go to anything else on incentives. Let's go to 2-story homes now. Okay. limit massing of two-story homes. We addressed the percentage of the second story to the total percentage of the house. And so we've proposed reducing it from 50% to 30%. Does everybody clearly understand what that code is? Okay.
Yeah.
A little history. We reduced it previously. When did we reduce it before? Do you remember, Trey?
I think whatever.
Probably.
I'm going to say 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was,
Yeah,
Hewlett Camp
It was
remember the
Hewlett
meeting
sitting
today.
right there.
In any case, so we've done this before. So let's get, into the heart of the real issue. Okay, wow, 50 to 30%. I mean, my reaction was that crazy? So let's look at some data points. Let's bring up those houses that have been built.
There you go. All right. It's like,
I don't have it in front of me to see it.
No, that's all right.
Okay, you can see that house at Gulfstream, commonly referred to the older residents as the cat house.
No, this is across from the Mazzios on
That's the
Gulfstream Road.
Gerbauer home.
The Gebauer,
Yeah,
yes.
Gebauer.
Gebauers.
Okay.
These go from largest percentage of second floor area to smallest as we
Right.
go through the slides. So
Right.
you're going to see a larger percentage at the beginning.
This is at 50%.
43.
43 this one.
That's 43%.
Okay.
So functionally, what does that translate into? In this house, there are 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. So you have a nice size second story. Okay. Let's go to the next example. Okay, old school. We're not talking about the architecture. We're talking about the square footage. 0.36. I mean, 36%. Oh, it is 0.36.
Yeah.
With the 36%, again, it's 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. So decent size second story. Next house, please.
Oh, yeah.
This is
the cat lady.
yes.
The old cat lady house. Yeah.
Didn't we just go over that one?
No.
But this is getting closer to what you're recommending.
Yeah.
That's with the building right into the corner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was confused earlier. I apapologize.
Right.
This house has got 3 bedrooms, 3 baths.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In 3 bedroom, 3 bath, and 1,100 square feet is what you're telling me, and it's at 32%. So
Right.
this is sort of what we're headed
That's where we
toward.
go, exactly.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go under 30% and see what it looks like. Okay. Here's one at Blue Water Cove.
That's the owner's home that he just mentioned, right? Isn't that Mr.?
No, he's building a
I
big
know
one.
this is
on
one
it.
of the original spec.
okay.
One of the browns.
I believe it's
one of
lot
the-
2.
This one's.
two.
This one's
Blue Water Cove. Sorry.
Does that have a second
Yeah.
story also?
This is the only other 2-story home. The one that Mr. Corshane's building for himself is also a
Also
2-story.
two-story.
Every other one is single story.
And that home exists, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
that's a photo.
actually-
Okay,
Yeah, the
that's-
photo of the
that's a
existing
photo,
home.
fine.
Yes, sir.
That's 18% on the second floor, huh? Wow.
Okay, so in that case, they have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Upstairs, yeah.
With
With a ground floor master, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah,
so I think you can see as little as 18, you get 2 bedrooms.
Yep.
You get to 30, you can comfortably get 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
They're not going to be enormous bedrooms.
Right.
So I think you still can build a nice 2-story home, functionally get the number of bedrooms you would like in the home.
And also,
And I think so we're accommodating.
I think one of the points with this, Paul, is this is modern. This is today. This is what the market will stand.
Thank you.
These are being sold today. This is what the market will stand.
Yes.
So we're not proposing something that is unacceptable to the market.
Right, that in referencing this house on Blue Water Cove, that was a spec build designed by the the developer at only 18%. So
Yep.
that was acceptable to
sell?
them and to
Yeah,
the market.
Did it sell?
I don't think it has.
Living in it.
Yeah, they're living in
It's
it.
very.
Okay,
good.
yeah,
is that there?
I
Okay,
like
so
that.
so the market
It's really
accepted it.
attractive.
Yeah, it's presently
Um,
living in it.
So you're right. I mean,
and again, this is
That's less than 20%.
this is
18,
well under what is right.
so this proposed change isn't inconsistent with market.
Yeah.
So we're not denying something that, I mean, here's somebody's building on spec and it works. And, they've invested a lot of money and I think they're smart guys, so.
Paul, can you go back a slide to the next
Sure.
highest one, like,
It's at 32.
okay, so that's 32. That's that you're calling that the cat lady?
Yeah, you should go drive it.
Oh, I've driven. right
It does
there.
appear when you drive it. I live over there. Like it just has one little top piece. At least when I drive by, it's all
Well,
architecture. But
The way they
Did
planned the house was a little unusual.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
And I think it's just the shape of the lot size
Yeah.
too.
Who was the architect? Do you remember on that one? Okay, not important.
It was
Okay.
either, I think it was Weedsville.
Wheatsma, thank you. Yes, I was like,
Okay.
it's someone who we haven't seen in a while.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Bill
Not Rusty
Wheatsma.
Goopy, maybe.
So
No?
Paul,
Okay.
our comment is that, 30% is pretty generous, actually. I thought it was a major cutback, but when you see that at 32 and the other one at 18, certainly at 30, we're not.
And that also has
Right, I mean,
three bedrooms.
Pretty fair.
Yeah.
3 bedrooms,
Yeah.
3 bathrooms.
Yeah, I think I remember my family's pushing back on this notion that we're favoring. And, so I started thinking about, how many bedrooms can you get? I mean, how functional is it?
Right.
It's
And
a
that's
good
what
it's
really-
a good metric.
That's
How many bedrooms?
that's the key.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so let's move on to the last change, 2-story homes.
There's nothing else.
That's right. We're proposing the roof height go from,
30 to
30
28 feet.
Yeah.
it's a small change. It's just more of a messaging, I think. And one of our members, Bill Koch, alluded to it a number of times with the way people can build houses today. You can still almost get the same ceiling height, so they probably wouldn't lose much. So I mean, I think this is kind of a moot change. It's not going to interfere with enjoying the home in terms of ceiling heights, in my opinion. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
anything else, Curtis? You have a
You mean the height from 30 feet to 28 feet?
Yeah.
I mean, you can always get interior height through tray
Ceiling,
gable
ceilings and gable ceilings, and they can do, I think the architect.
that was Bill Koch's
Yeah.
comment,
Yeah.
because he's very familiar with it being a real estate broker.
Yeah, when we built our house, we trayed all the ceilings, which were flat, and gave it much more interior feeling.
Renee, can you bring up the first chart with the committee members?
The only thing I sort of think with Tom, though, that from changing the FAR from 50 to 30 might be too generous.
I'm so.
Maybe he's thinking maybe 25 or 20.
Yeah, I mean, that house in Blue Water Cove that's at 18, seems like a very attractive and yet not imposing house.
Well,
Whereas,
I think we were trying to make changes that were more evolutionary than revolutionary, to be frank.
Yeah.
And if you push it too far, I mean, my personal preference would be yes, but I just think that right now that's a
Pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, we took it down by about 40%.
Yeah, it's a big.
yeah
From
I mean,
50% to 30%.
40% decrease.
yeah, I mean, I could certainly go along with what you're proposing.
And also, this is the root of this is it's come from the ad hoc board. The ARPB will make a recommendation,
Just the names.
and then the commission will obviously consider it.
First one.
Right there,
Um,
right there.
So, are
Oh, maybe
we-
the last slide. You had the last slide. You had the
It
names.
is, also has the names.
Go to the last slide.
It's there.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I can't read it.
Sorry.
Okay. Sincerely, as chairman, I appreciated the individuals volunteering, Michael, Tom, and Malcolm, and Bill Koch, Gary Cantor. I think that's it. Did I
Yep.
miss anybody?
No.
Everybody expressed their views directly. We had good debates. We didn't always agree, but we came to consensus. And I think it was always a sort of balanced conclusion. So that's our recommendation. And I guess somebody's got to make a motion.
I think at this point, Paul, I take it back and say thank you, Paul, for the presentation
Excellent.
and everybody, the input into that.
Yeah,
I think in
very
terms of the simple way it's been presented as well, in terms of the comparisons, especially at the end. I think it's really straightforward, and I know an awful lot of work went into this, so thank you for that.
Well, when the work went into by the members, I just want to be sure this is the committee recommendation, not mine.
Yep.
I think it's a great recommendation. I think, it's a great step in the right direction.
I agree.
Maybe at a later point in time, we decide that, we have to take a further step.
Yep. Yep.
But I think it definitely will maintain a smaller display of size and massing
Mhm.
going
Which was the objective. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you again, Paul. And with that, I would ask for a motion, please, to recommend the information we've seen this morning from the ad hoc group to be considered by the commission.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the creation of an overlay district to address the massing in the core district per the memo written November 19th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Thank you. We now go on to items by staff.
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, sorry.
Trey,
Paul.
Just a quick question, Trey, did we get the motion right?
No, yes, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
I just want to be
No,
sure.
We're gonna have to keep Mr. Doherty around. That was a good job.
But I
Thank you.
do want to thank Mr. Nazaro for taking an incredible amount of information. I mean, this doesn't seem, like the presentation was condensed. It was easy to understand. And yet, as we all know from our meetings, we had a lot of information to get through.
Yeah.
And so.
And on that point as well, Michael, what you
Yeah.
did in terms of trying to herd the
Yeah,
cats, is
exactly.
getting everything into a consolidated reference point.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you for
thank you, Mr. Pizarro, for
Yeah.
your presentation.
Greg, thank you for doing that.
Great.
And Michael, if anybody would like to see his Excel worksheets, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the next application that comes through in the
Yes.
overlay district. How quickly can we get the overlay district put in place?
Okay.
So it'll take
Months.
well, right. So it'll take an ordinance with two readings. So even if the commission says, yeah, absolutely, during the December meeting, Greg likes to work me hard through Christmas, so maybe I'll be able to get something in January for first
Is there
reading,
anything coming through?
February second reading.
Maybe.
Okay.
See, that's,
We-
you see, there might be something coming through pre.
Yes, yes.
Well,
The earliest we would be able to get it on the books would be February, and we can certainly counsel any application that is in that proposed district that, they might want to wait, and, we could certainly process their application for the ARPB in January, town commission, and town commission in
Tell them we have a whole
February,
bunch of
at the same
incentives.
time. So
yeah, tell them there's a lot of.
I don't know if we have anyone in this area.
The Merrill property just sold, and I I've heard it through the grapevine that they're,
They may
maybe-
demo.
Mhm.
Okay.
The Merrill
But
property,
I don't
okay.
think it's gonna come that quick. I mean, they just
No.
closed. I mean,
Yeah.
they may.
They would
actually
need
live
to-
in it, use it through the
Lease it
season,
back or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, but I think it will probably come down.
Okay.
By the way, other towns, villages, when considering these kinds of changes, have put in temporary moratoriums from new applications until they get, I'm not proposing it, but if we see that it's taking longer than we like and we're confronting
We could certainly.
challenges, that's an option.
And if
good
we
point.
were meeting with candidates for a renovation or a new home, we could tell them that they may want to consider conforming to.
That is a very good point.
Allowed to
To
do
the
that.
extent that they may want to have a second-story home, a two-story home with 45%, we can declare zoning in progress. So, Greg will remind me to create a zoning in progress resolution that we may enact next
And say
at
if they
the
potentially
December
hang
meeting.
on, the incentives to go to a story, because this is the whole point, that they go, wow, we've got so much more options if we stay at a one story.
Right.
Items by board members. So with that, public? No? And so I'd like to wish everybody an early happy Thanksgiving and thank you for the meeting today, and it's adjourned.
Malcolm?
Thank you, Malcolm.
You practice